What's going on, everybody? It's Monday night. I almost said it's Tuesday night. Force of habit. Fandom Empire live. We got a fairly jam-packed show for everybody tonight. Apologies for the inconvenience on switching the day. Turns out we have to work to make money. That's the thing. What's going on, guys? What's going on, Kieran? You're muted.
Yeah.
I think I just muted you again.
Yeah, you gotta work. You gotta work to get that gas money.
It's also the wrong show. There we go. Yeah, gas money, man. Gas is stupid up here. $2+ a liter.
I don't know what that is in a gallon, but
I have to take medicine for mine.
Gallon's like 3.75 liters, I think. So
I don't know. All I know is when I go to the States,
dollars, just insanity.
Yeah, when I go to the States, I'm always like blasted away that I could fill up my car for like $15. Like an American, like, ridiculous.
Oh.
Yeah, but then you risk being shot at the gas station.
I did go to Detroit once. I was pretty scared there. Detroit, actually, quick story. I was in Detroit and I was filling up at a gas station, and it did look like it was like a pretty rough part. And I don't know, it's just that's what Detroit gets. Somebody drove off the highway, parked beside me, and said, "Hey, can you give me a jump?" And I was like, "You drove over to me!" Like in my head, I was like, "What?" And all I did, like I didn't even talk to the guy. I was like, get in, leave," and I like drove off really quickly. It was like I was like scared for my life.
I never got to go to Detroit. I've been to New York. That's about as far as my journey.
I've been lots of places. I love Ohio. I've been to lots of places in Ohio. I like that. I've been to Denver. I've been to Vegas. Lots of great places. Scared of Detroit. Scared of Detroit, though.
Johnny, you've been all the way to like Kentucky, right?
That's really not that far.
I don't know my American geography, man, at all.
I mean,
New
Florida,
York,
Pennsylvania,
south.
It's not really that far. I mean, we think of it as, like the deep south, but really it's not. Like, I mean, culturally, yeah, but geographically, it's like mid-America. But
I went to Richmond, Virginia as well. That was pretty fun. I've been to Chicago.
I tried to go to Chicago once in 2004 and got stopped at the border because, I was a bit of a rebellious teenager and had a record. Yeah.
Oh, man. I can't say who, but my fiance's family has a doozy of a story crossing the border, and it ended with like assault rifles pulled on them. So, yeah, not good. I think this is the first time we've ever had 4 Canadians on the street ever. I don't think that's ever happened. Like usually
without any Americans.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
We've all been on the same stream before, but usually with Tommy B or with Mike or I don't know.
Since we moved to YouTube, yes. Back in the old days, we had a foursome once. That was a pure Canadian.
Did you now?
Yeah. We had
How much did you charge for that?
more than you can afford, pal.
That was a super Patreon special.
Speaking of which, you guys, if you want to support the channel, you can do so over on Patreon, patreon.com/Fandom Empire. We have a Lambkin Lane episode coming up this week, and we actually have a Star Wars episode as well. So
only $100 for the Johnny Does Dallas Patreon tier.
He hasn't been that south. We already covered that.
Try not to overload. What's going on, Joel? Jared, what's going on, man?
Not much actually. I tried checking out that WWE pay-per-view last night and turned it off after about 15 minutes. And I would rather watch Southern Fried Championship Wrestling from a Boys and Girls Club in Monroe, Georgia, in front of 250 people.
Yeah, but you would have made that choice during the Attitude Era, so it doesn't count.
Hey, there's a lot of Anarchy wrestlers on that show. Thank you very much.
You say that like it's a plus.
It is.
We're about to lose it, Kieran. And we're already we're not even 10 minutes, and these two are about to take over.
Kieran, what are you watching on the drive?
This isn't 2002, pal.
I've been watching mostly GCW stuff.
Okay.
Good choice.
I do want to continue. I heard AAW had a really good show, and I actually like that a lot too. I was like,
They always do. They're
Really
great
good production values too.
I like the announce team. I find the more I watch all these random shows, the announce team is so important.
Because you can't guarantee a good announce team on every single indie.
No, yeah, and as someone who hasn't seen these shows, I need someone to be like, oh, this is why fucking Garbage Clown, wants to beat up Cactus Jack. I want to know.
Yeah, but if he didn't shave, he'd be Cactus Sack.
Yeah. Why is he trying to kill this guy with the light tube? Oh, he does that all the time. Cool.
Yeah. Context is important, people.
It is key. That's why watching Japanese wrestling and Japanese commentary is very interesting.
I don't know how Mick Foley didn't die. Like, there's so many instances where you're like, yeah, his body probably should have gave out there.
You know what's I find is crazier is he's happy somewhere. Like,
right?
He always looks happy. Like,
the reaction video of him.
He should be in so much pain right now. He should be like crotchety old man, like Bret Hart.
I love angry old man Bret Hart.
Oh, it's the benefits of DDP yoga. He'll tell you that.
I still love Bret Hart, but man, they're just like burying everybody all the time is like hilarious.
He's like, I love AEW, but fuck that Bill Goldberg guy.
Yeah. Oh wow. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter who it is. They'll be like, that guy wasn't a wrestler. My dad and my brother were wrestlers.
We stretched him in the dungeon.
It doesn't matter who it is. Seth Rollins will be like, oh yeah, I love Bret Hart. And then it'll be like, Seth Rollins, that guy hurt someone. He's not a real wrestler.
He hurt Sting.
Yeah, just like you're like the guy pays you a compliment and you come back with like, he's not a professional like me and Kurt Hennig.
Yeah, we didn't hurt anybody. We belong in the Hall of Fame.
If you're just tuning in now, in about 20 minutes time or so, we're going to have Jason Ward from Making Star Wars on. We're going to talk a little bit about Kenobi, but we're going to talk about a couple of other content creators going around in the Star Wars fandom that I know this guy definitely doesn't like. And I've probably changed my tune on them a little bit. It's amazing how much people put out information, kind of like we have over the last couple of years with Halloween. And then you get another content creator or website writer who will grab what you're saying, turn it and twist it into this disgusting thing that resembles Terrence, and it's just, it's horrible. But before we get to any of that, let's dive into some Halloween Ends stuff. Sorry, what was that, Jared? Oh, the private chat function. All right, Halloween Ends. This has been going around a lot since the trailer came out at CinemaCon, and that is who should die, Laurie Strode or Michael Myers? Now, I know the easy answer is probably both, but if you can't choose the easy answer and you got to go one way or another, are you going with Laurie Strode or Michael Myers? And don't just take it in as like, hey, this is how this story should end, but also consider the idea that there's a good chance they're going to continue on from this timeline at some point. Johnny, I'm going to start with you, man. I'm going to throw you to the wolves. Laurie or Michael? Who bites the dust and why?
There's really no... this isn't a hard choice for me. It's Laurie. Because we've spent, a large chunk of this new trilogy sort of reestablishing Michael's credentials as not just a beast, but a supernatural beast. They keep adding and peeling layers off the onion that is what makes Michael tick, and the more and more layers of the onion we peel back, the less human he becomes. And as long as that trend continues, I think it has to be Laurie, because at this point, with the direction the story's going, as soon as Hawkins in Kills said, it was never about you. It was Loomis who brought him to your doorstep. It completely changed the pathways that the story could take, and it made Laure, I don't want to say expendable, but basically it took away her plot armor. Because to this point in the series, anytime she'd been around, she pretty much had plot armor, with the exception of Resurrection, because, well, but we don't talk about that movie. But, with the exception of that, she's always had plot armor, and taking away Michael's raison d'etre being kill Laurie Strode strips her plot armor and makes her vulnerable, which is something that's never happened before. So it's very easy for her to end up dying, and it will still hold, significance to, the fan base, because it will be significant, because let's be honest, this trilogy is much better than, a lot of the stuff we've had since the first movie. So it will mean something this time versus Resurrection, where it was hot garbage.
What are you talking about? Busta Rhymes, greatest horror movie character ever. Danger Tainment.
We'll just move on. Let's
Who's
not
next?
acknowledge it.
Kieran, what about you, man?
Complicated answer for this one. I want Michael to die in this, but I don't want them to continue to make movies in this timeline. So, not because it's not good, because I think it's fantastic. I just think it's setting up to be told as a trilogy, and a trilogy should end as a trilogy. If they're gonna make it, if they're gonna do like a soft reboot into another trilogy in the same way, Star Wars does or whatever, it's still the same universe, whatever. But if they're going to tell stories, like if they're going to continue on, from the next year after this one, then yeah, sure, don't kill Michael, because then I don't want something different. But I want this to say a trilogy, and I want Michael to die at the end.
Before we get to Jer, Wayne Gotkey, our boy Wayne, says, kill Michael. Laurie's already died twice already. Technically speaking, wouldn't Michael Myers have died 3 times already? Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, he dies. Halloween 2 was supposed to be it. He died. And Halloween H2O, he died until they went back in and retconned it for, that movie that Kieran was just mentioning. So...
my favorite
going off. We got Terrence chants going on, or chants going on. What the hell's going on here?
I think Jay Ryan got into the good stuff a little early.
Jared, who you killing, man? Jamie, I get everything I want. Lee Curtis or Michael Myers?
I think Kieran brings up a good point in the structure of the trilogy. And yes, there's obviously the idea of it's such a good trilogy right now after 2 movies that you almost don't want it to end, because they're on such a roll with this timeline right now. But I think if you want to do a soft reboot later, I mean, you got to kill off Laurie, right? Because Michael is eternal, and you could do Halloween movies for the next 75 years, because Laurie ain't going to be around physically, so you need to keep Michael. You can take him down a notch, sure, and you can kill him for the sake of the story, and there's always ways you can bring him back. But I think for the sake of this being the trilogy, and to really make it stick out, yeah, put Michael over.
My answer's simple. It should be Michael. It should be Laurie that dies. Michael should survive. But I feel like when you get into things like this, it just becomes really predictable, and it almost doesn't matter the genre. And I'd be curious to hear Jason's take when he gets on. Hopefully one of us remember to go back to it. I always felt like Kylo Ren was going to die in whatever the last Star Wars movie was going to be titled. Obviously, it ended up becoming The Rise of Skywalker. Like, I felt like there should have been a way to allow that character to live, even if it was exile. Find a way to have the bad guy live without killing him. And they killed him again. And it happens in basically every bloody horror movie or horror movie franchise we see. Eventually, they die. Well, the original Halloween wasn't designed to be a franchise. It was designed to be a one-off movie, you know? And Michael just fading into the night was exactly how it was supposed to end. And then they went back and just kept adding on. Go back and, pay tribute to that original ending. That's what I would do. I don't know if you guys are open to that. I know some people hate the idea of a movie being titled Halloween Ends, but the killer not ending, basically. I don't know if you guys fall in line with that or...
Yeah, terrible idea.
Halloween ends, sorta.
Yeah, Halloween ends until next movie. Halloween
until we need money.
The quest for more
More money. Yeah.
Oh, anyways, what do you guys in the chat section and in the comment section afterwards think? Laure or Michael, comment down below. We'd love to hear what you have to think. Let's keep moving on.
I did think, though, to what Jared was saying about Jamie Lee Curtis not being around, at this point, you could probably replace her with like one of those paper bag puppets because she kind of looks like one. You put your fingers on the inside of the bottom and it's like a mouth flap.
It's like paper mache.
Yeah,
something you'd make on Take That.
Yeah,
or no, Take Part. Damn it!
I don't know why I don't not like Jamie Lee Curtis, but I make fun of the way she looks all the time. It's terrible. I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible human being. I'm just realizing this right now.
I willingly sat through watching her naked with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Imagine how I feel.
Good movie. Really good movie.
I haven't seen it in like 15 years. I got to rewatch it.
I used to play it like every weekend on TBS.
It's actually a terrible movie, but it's fun to watch.
Oh man,
the sliding scale.
It's fun to watch, but it's a good movie to watch, but it's not a good movie.
So last week we had the Obi Wan Kenobi trailer drop Wednesday. I think Wednesday was Star Wars Day. And then we had the very next day a show that we've been talking about extensively here at the channel. Game of Thrones first spin-off series, a prequel, Game of Thrones House of the Dragon. Kieran and I have had a chance to talk about it. Johnny and Jer have not, so we're going to play the trailer now. Hopefully we don't get shut down. That means we are going to demonetize the stream, and that's okay. No problem with that. And let's hear what these guys have to say.
What is this brief mortal life, if not the pursuit of legacy?
I, Rickon Stark.
I, Corlys Velaryon. I, Ormond Baratheon.
Promise to be faithful
To King Viserys.
and to his named heir.
Princess Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra Targaryen.
Men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend the Iron Throne.
We play an ugly game. You have the determination to win it.
History does not remember blood. It remembers names.
All right, so I could go on about that ad nauseum, but since I've already done that, Johnny, your thoughts on the Game of Thrones House of the Dragon teaser? I think they actually said that was a teaser, not the actual trailer. So,
I mean, it was pretty much what I expected it to be. You know, the trailer we got before was very similar in sort of tone and tenor. You know, it didn't really.
Sorry, no, I apologize.
You're shaking your head, and I'm like, what?
No,
What?
Johnny, no. Stop it. Your opinion's terrible.
No, you're wrong.
Go on, go on.
I'm thinking like, did I miss a trailer in between that was very different from this one? Like, what?
Yeah.
But-
Start talking about the tenors.
I mean, I think to me the big takeaway from this trailer is that, I mean, this is going to sound, culturally inappropriate, but finally there's black people in Westeros. I mean, to this point, the only time we'd ever seen, dark-skinned characters was in Essos.
Yeah, with Karth.
Yeah, I think it was. Well, I mean,
there was that one king guy.
You had to before that where they first where Viserys married off Daenerys. That wasn't Karth. That was before that.
Oh, okay. I remember there was that one rich prince or king in Karth.
Oh yeah, there was after that, but I mean, and of course, you had Missandei, and
there wasn't too many though.
There were very few, and they were all on the other side of the ocean. There were none in Westeros. It's about time to see it, and a prominent family. So I'm happy to see that. And the characters, of course, there's a lot of intrigue being woven in this that I'm excited to see pay off, and there's just. It teased the things it needed to tease. Like the trailer for this series, you're afraid it's going to be all dragons, all blood, all guts, and it's not. It's very much the opposite of that. They allude to those things, and you do see the dragon eventually, but it just taunts and teases so much more of the series that we haven't seen yet, that I'm excited for it. And I like the idea that this series is going to have the action of the original, but still have that early season pacing that there's action, but there's still a lot of meaningful dialogue, which is one of the things I liked from early Game of Thrones.
Jer?
I think the teaser really answered the question of, okay, is it going to have the same atmosphere as Game of Thrones? Absolutely. It's not visually different at all. The same tones kind of flow throughout it. But I think the catch is going to be, are the characters can you connect to them the same way you did with Game of Thrones? And I think it's possible. And I like that Johnny brought up that, I guess the more prominent minority families in Westeros kind of add a new dimension to it, which is absolutely cool. I don't know. I got a bit more excited for it. I had kind of been in my head thinking like, I don't know if it was just a bad taste in my mouth from, the end of Game of Thrones or whatnot. And I was just kind of burnt out and didn't really care for it. I'm like, it's not going to be that great. But I think I'll definitely give it an open mind and kind of just give it an honest shot that, hey, okay, this is going to be different. This is going to tell a different story. And you're going to be able to connect to these characters, and they're going to tell a better story. And it'll have, dragons are cool. And I like that they had the dragon egg there. Although I noticed with the little war map scene there, did they blow all the budget on candles?
I think the budget for season 1 is somewhere close to $200 million, basically. So
that looks about right then.
It's way more money than they had when Game of Thrones.
It sure didn't go to that goddamn Yankee candle store my wife always wants me to go to. Fucking $40 for a candle.
Dude, I went to Bath and Body Works the other day. Ugh.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
But they smell nice. So,
Kieran, any final thoughts on that? I know we're only touching on it briefly since we've already had a chance.
Yeah, no, it seems it seems like it's right back in there. My first thoughts that I gave were that I really wanted it to be different, and then it seems a lot the same. However, I kind of did a 180 and was like, actually, no, I want it to be like this. Like, I was like, oh, I don't want it to be the same as Game of Thrones, but now it looks a lot like Game of Thrones, and it looks awesome. So what the hell can you do?
So you don't want it to be same of Thrones?
It's okay. Well, it definitely isn't going to be that because the way the show is structured is completely different from how the
Yeah, I know we got into that a little bit
if
too.
you look closely at that trailer, you're not just like the timeline is not linear. You are following the same characters when they're younger as when they're like, I think it's 15 or 20 years later. So like you're bouncing back and forth between multiple timelines in the new show, where in the original show you get a flashback here or there, but it wasn't designed like this. So it will have like its own feel. It's not just going to be Game of Thrones 2.0. Whether it succeeds or not, who knows? I hope it does though. All right, let's shift gears here again, guys. We don't have much time for this because I want to get Jason on here. So I woke up this morning to WWE rumored to do an RPG game. Now, to my knowledge, there's never been an RPG game for console, possibly ever, for wrestling. How the hell does this work, guys? Explain this. Keeping in mind we only have like 2 or 3 minutes to go.
Oh, you get what? You can't give those two guys down there 2 minutes to talk about anything.
Well, they're on
at all.
How does it work? I don't get it. Like, are we going?
Oh, Johnny's frozen. It might be okay.
No.
Oh
no,
shit, he's not frozen.
I'm here. It's impossible to know. It's impossible to say because we know nothing other than it's planned. We don't even know who's doing it, and that makes a huge difference on what the type of game will be. You know, is this like an RPG sort of couched within the 2K engine, or is this something completely and drastically different that has, you know, almost nothing to do with wrestling? And how do you deal with kayfabe in a wrestling RPG when, you know, 90% of the audience knows that it's fake? You know, so
scripted, not fake. Damn it.
You know what I meant. I'm using the broad terms because not everyone delineates. Now I'm frozen. Now I'm unfrozen.
Yeah,
but
no, StreamYards is being stupid.
You know, it's impossible to know. I mean, they've tried sort of RPG type stuff in certain things. Like, if you look back in sort of story modes of years past, you could argue that those are RPG. You know, because you had choices and branching storylines. Like the story mode in No Mercy, I'd argue was an RPG because it had so many branching storylines. But you know, and until we know more, to just say WWE is doing an RPG is just okay. That's not, you know, this isn't 25 years ago where that was a very distinctive difference. Now you can have RPGs in anything. I mean, EA has RPG elements in their FIFA games, you know, so it's not as unfathomable as it used to be. I mean, 2K has RPG in their NBA games, so, you know.
Yeah, okay, but that's not the same. Like, the way I understood the article is the whole game is supposed to be an RPG game, not just a mode. If it's just a mode on top of a new WWE title, then it's like, okay, I get it.
Well, that's the question. It could still be a different, a standalone title with that engine and still be that, you know, because we don't know. You know, we know nothing at this point, and until we know at the very least who's making it, you know, we can't really gauge what it's going to be.
Speaking of game engines, there's some Star Wars stuff going on with that, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But and on multiple game fronts too, not just on the Star Wars Eclipse. So we'll dive into that in a bit. Jarrett, keeping in mind, I know you're super diehard. Try to remember that wouldn't be, you don't just market a video game to diehards. So would it be in-game RPG type storyline, or would you be breaking kayfabe where you're, you know, building your character up or whatever, and you actually got a, you know, pitch to go over, etc. I can't imagine it being that. It's got to be in story.
I think you can kind of thread the needle a little bit, and I mean, you can start from essentially nothing and build your character, and you know, you can even do like side quests and cutting promos and stuff like that, and work on certain things, you know, gym stuff or whatever, you know, networking with people to get bookings, to get noticed by, you know, Vince McMahon or whatever. And I think it'll be a larger extension of the story mode they already do, with less emphasis on the actual gameplay being the matches, which you'll probably still do, but it won't be the be-all, end-all selling point of the game. Rather, the story to get to the matches, which is, what WWE has been cramming down our throats for 40 years anyways, is going to be the focal point and the majority of the game. Rather, it's the in-ring content will probably take a major back seat and be, almost the end of like a quest, let's say. And, oh, hey, you have to defeat, Kane in 8 minutes. Okay. There's your quest line, and then you do the TV leading up to it. And I think it's weird because WWE has this almost like this view of what an RPG could be. And it's fascinating, and it's different because of the way WWE presents itself as a television product, that it lends itself to a type of game that can be marketed and sold, but they kind of got to be careful with how much they show for it. They can't really go too far in certain directions where, Johnny Ace comes up to you and says, hey, you got 5 minutes, cut off your match, go. I mean, they're probably not going to go that realistic, but I can definitely see, oh, hey, you need to lobby and do this quest and, go behind the scenes and talk to so on and kind of petition for a match in a way, but not to the extent of, Triple H burying Booker T. So there's definitely an avenue that can go with it. And I'm kind of fascinated to see what they do, but I'm also not getting my hopes up too high. Just because it's WWE and,
it's just going to give you choices like Psycho Sid came at you with scissors. What do you do?
Exactly, right?
Whack him with a squeegee.
Yeah. Sean,
you're muted.
Okay, so apparently I did mute myself in time. Chaos downstairs. So, we'll cover if we can find out more about this apparent WWE RPG game in development next week on a normal episode of Fandom Empire Live, Tuesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. This is going to do it for Jer. We are going to play Terrence's reaction to the Obi Wan Kenobi trailer, and then bring in Jason from Making Star Wars. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey guys, it's Terrence here, and I got something for you. I got my Kenobi reaction trailer. Kenobi trailer reaction, I guess. And oh my god, I'm excited for this one. And let me tell you, this one's going to get so much better numbers than Sean's reaction. That guy does not know how to tell you about trailers. He just sits there and fucking, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Let's hear a real opinion for once. I don't know why he thinks that I shouldn't be on this channel having Parents Live every Friday. But that's a conversation for another day. Let's get into this trailer. Obi Wan Kenobi trailer number 2. Here we go. Oh, I hate it already. Sandy titles.
Cameras just oops. Technical difficulties here. One moment.
We went from Terrence to Johnny sleeping. I don't know if that's an upgrade or not.
I don't know what the fuck happened there. Apologies. Let's try this one.
Conversation for another day. Let's get into this trailer. Obi Wan Kenobi trailer number 2. Here we go. Oh, I hate it already. Sandy titles. Oh my god! It's those fucking helicopter lightsaber bastards! Ooh!
Leave us alone. When the time comes, he must be trained. Like you trained his father.
Maybe you shouldn't have let his mother get captured, you piece of shit! You and your fucking peg-leg dad! Then he might not have turned out to be Darth Vader.
I want every lowlife and bounty hunter to squeeze him.
Well, apparently he's a fucking ninjutsu master now. That's new. Oh, here it comes. They're gonna show us Hayden Christensen. What the fuck? That's all we get? Oh. Disney Plus fucking disappoints again. Couldn't even show us the fucking best actor that's gonna be on this goddamn show. And what did they do to fucking Kenobi's face? His skin looks like it's made of fucking Triscuit crackers. You know what ages you? Living in fucking dirty sand. That's what happened to him. Well, that's my trailer reaction. Now I gotta find something else to watch this May, because this looks like a piece of shit.
Terrence looked like he was ready to cry there at the end.
No, he's just sitting wrong on his hemorrhoid.
I might have been crying there. Jerry, you going or are you staying?
I can stick around.
All right. Joining us now, he is the... Probably should have asked him for a proper title, but I did not do that before going live. So I'm going to wing it here. He is the owner, operator, creator, head writer, and host of the Making Star Wars show on YouTube. He is Jason Ward. What's going on, man?
Hey, Terrence super fan now. I just met Terrence for the first time right now, but I love Terrence. Terrence was dead on about Shmi Skywalker and the peg leg dad. It's just true. And I won't be watching the show now. I'm officially retiring. With that, he's convinced me that Disney Star Wars is dumb. I quit.
The impressive part about that is Terrence recorded that trailer reaction before another video clip that we're going to watch here that you were talking about on your show today. But dude, how's it going? You've been covering Kenobi like crazy basically every day for the last several months, and it's been awesome to watch and enjoy.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, from what I'm hearing about the series, it sounds rad. I mean, I mostly like everything that I'm hearing for the most part, you know, and it sounds like it's going to be a fun, good contribution to the whole Star Wars lore. Unlike for me, Book of Boba Fett, which I was kind of like, what is going on? You know, half the time I'm like, what series am I watching now? And so Book of Boba sounds like the bastard stepchild to this one, which feels like a legitimate Star Wars story to me.
and I mean, the show is completely about Reva, obviously, right? So,
right, yeah, that's been fun. I'm not even kidding. You messaged me and we like talked about me coming on tonight. And I was like, yeah, sure, you know, and all that jazz. We were going back and forth. Took my kids to the park and to do stuff. I come back, literally, no, I'm not even joking. 45 DMs, like in my thing, from different people about the whole thing, and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you guys. I guess just don't listen to grifters. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's fair. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe I'm being unfair there.
No,
But I feel like, I just feel like a certain plot line in the, I don't know what the spoilers mood is here, but certain aspects of it, have really been made into like a hot issue when it shouldn't be. It's like I put out the whole story and then they focused on like 5 lines in 20 stories to make this like thesis that this Reva character is the main character. What do you do,
I like your I guess the depiction you guys gave today on the show. I had you guys in my ear while I was driving, and you had mentioned that we know where Kenobi ends up. We know where Owen, Luke, Beru, Vader, we know where all of those characters end up. So by introducing new characters in the show, it gives us a chance to experience new plot lines that we don't know the outcome to.
Just like Clone Wars. Clone Wars did that expertly, and to another extent, Rebels. Where it's like, here's a bunch of new characters that you know are in this aspect of a timeline that you feel like you know all about, and then it turns out you don't. And then now, if they live, if they die, what happens to them? And if you connect with them, then it becomes a successful kind of fan relationship between the fictional characters and the audience. And then, like, here we are 12 years or more later, Ahsoka started filming today, and everybody's like, oh my God, Ahsoka. But you went back 12 years ago or 2008, and people were like, what? Anakin has a Padawan? This is absurd. And there it is. There's Dave Filoni's stupid hat. And he's ready to make it. But hey, if he needs that stupid hat to tell a good Star Wars story, I'll take it,
This shot here kind of actually reminds me of when we used to see the behind the scenes stuff for the prequels.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun when they used to give us behind the scenes photos of things and stuff like that, and you didn't have to rely on wacky leakers like myself. They would actually just be like, here you go, look, here's a George Lucas select. It's a really, and at the time you would think everything was important, but it's like some like paneling that George Lucas took a picture of. We never can even find it in the movie today if you tried. But in 2002, I couldn't stop talking about it.
The hyperspace camera they used to leave on when they were filming Revenge of the Sith anyways. So
yeah, on the back side of where nothing important ever happened. And then the one time that they let you see something being filmed, it was the scene that they decided halfway through that they were going to cut of Anakin and Obi Wan in the fuel tank room of the invisible hand.
Yeah,
they were like, "Oh, just keep going, just keep giving them something." Yeah, in the water tank.
So we've talked about, at least on this channel at length, about how there are some at times disingenuous content creators who like to lead their viewers astray. And I'm all up for a difference of opinion. Kieran and I literally argue about basically everything under the sun, especially when it comes to Star Wars. We're opposite sides of the coin. But at least, we stick to our points. You earlier today on Star Wars Santa show and then on your own addressed the Josh Den of Nerds video, and those guys have been really championing the hate. I don't know any other way to put it other than hate sells, hate you get clicks for. We put a guy in our thumbnail that I don't even really intend to talk much about. And it's Mike Zero there. For shits and giggles, I did the red eyes for the first time. But like, at least with Mike Zero, at least I hope people know this. He's not trying to trick you into believing it's real. He's legitimately satire, doesn't reply to hardly anybody in his comment section. And yet people take it for real. He doesn't go out of his way though to say it's not real. So, I mean, take it for what you will. But
I hope he's satire. I'm not convinced.
Oh.
I mean, he's Andy Kaufman levels if he is.
Oh God, Andy Kaufman.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It really is, because it's just like Super Shadow in that way. He is, because Super Shadow at one point was serious. If you guys remember back that far, it was a serious Star Wars website. It was like reporting on genuine leaks and stuff. And then all of a sudden it just turned on its on its fan base and became satire out of hate. And then he started actually like taking their money at one point. And
Right
like
after Attack of the Clones, actually, like I remember
Mhm.
seeing Attack of the Clones opening night, coming home, and just being like, okay, well, let's see if there's any rumors about Episode 3. And you could go to his site at that time and purchase the early draft of the Episode 3.
That's fun. It's hilarious. Yeah, but and then like I don't know, like I don't want to pick on anybody. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be like salacious, like I'm calling you out or anything like that. But it's just like no one was actually saying there was a bait and switch that Reva was the main character. Josh came up with that and then acted like, what, me? Ha ha ha, me, thanks for watching. If anybody said anything to it. So I tweeted him and I said, hey, I think you're confusing your audience. And then he just shrugged it off like I was an idiot. And because I am an idiot, because I'm taking it seriously, like what he does. But the thing about it is he's making my life suck because I have all of these people coming over believing the things that he says, going, I'm having anxiety about what I heard on the internet. Is it true? Tell me it's not true, Jason. And I have to be like, well, it is true, but from a certain point of view, if you take this really morbid point of view, it sounds really bad, but it's not. That's not what I reported. Read my articles. Read the source of it. Like he does this thing where he goes and he takes like Bespin Bulletin. I love Bespin, by the way. Great site. If you're looking for another Star Wars site, check out BespinBulletin.com. But he'll take like Bespin Bulletin's relaying of my article, and then if it has a better line in there, that makes it easier to like extrapolate upon his thesis with. It's thesis-driven research, if you get down to it. I want to say this thing. Let me find the excuse. That's how it reads, man. And my DMs are open. He's DM'd me before. He knows if he was confused about something or whatever, he could just hit me up, but he hasn't. So.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of playing to the algorithm too. And I mean, a lot of us try to figure out what we can with the algorithm to obviously get more people to access our content. But there's a difference between, being true to who you are and spreading a bunch of shit and toxicity that's been going on in this fandom for long before. I know everybody says it started with The Last Jedi, but it really, really didn't. It's been out way, way longer than that. But I want to take a second anyways, and just so these guys have some context, because I guarantee you these three haven't heard the clip, but it goes back way further than the clip, and I'm going to get to that, but let's take a listen to what he has to say here.
Are going off when I read these leaks, and it unfortunately seems like they're doing something with the Kenobi show that I just really don't think they need to do. And it really reminds me of back when we were talking about Rise of Skywalker leaks. Like the Rise of Skywalker leaks were leaks that we heard and we were just like, whoa, like this is bold, kind of canon breaking stuff, and it kind of seems weird that they're just gonna do this. I don't know, man. I didn't necessarily even want to make this video, but here we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of take you right into the leaks that I'm talking about, the stuff that bothers me. So this is coming from Making Star Wars. Apparently the character of Reva at some point in the show, probably towards the end, is going to figure it.
I'll take this moment just to remind people, even though we talk about the show ad nauseum on the channel and often reference Jason at Making Star Wars and Bespin Bulletin over there, that this is about to get spoilery. So if you don't want Kenobi spoilers, now's the time to go.
It out. And when I say figure it out, she's going to figure out what Kenobi was on Tatooine protecting for 10 years. She's going to be sort of piecing this out throughout the show. It's going to come to a point where she figures it out. She's going to figure out that Luke and Leia are the twin children of Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader. Darth Vader and Anakin gonna have a wild, crazy fight. Sounds like it'll be really cool. Obi-Wan's gonna emerge victorious in that fight, which is something that, is gonna be really cool to see. But then he's gonna go back to Tatooine only to discover Reva there having subdued Owen and his wife, and with a red lightsaber out in front of Luke Skywalker, okay? Then we're going to get a flashback of Reva essentially explaining that she was one of the kids taken, or rather was taken into the Jedi Order and was forced to be a Sith by Vader after Anakin came in and was in the temple. Like, she's one of the kids that was in the Jedi Temple when Anakin came in there and went crazy on the younglings, okay? So we're going to get that sort of backstory, and the show, or at least this scene, is going to end with Reva not killing Luke Skywalker, obviously, and she was not going to be able to do the thing that Vader did to her, and walks away from Tatooine. Now, there is going to be another scene where she stands in front of Vader, explains what happened, and, you know, again, super spoilery stuff here, but apparently she lies and says that Kenobi was defeated and killed, and Vader's going to be like, dude, I couldn't even beat Kenobi right now. Shut your damn mouth, and then he's going to kill her, okay? So the execution scene will probably be pretty cool, and with Reva dying, you do close the loop and the possibility of her explaining Luke and Leia to anybody else in the Empire, okay? Now, I want to sort of give a fair shake before I go in on why I absolutely hate this, because I hate it. I hate it. But to be fair, perhaps the performance from Moses Ingram, perhaps the way the story unfolds, I will get such an appreciation for the Reva character that I will understand and feel comfortable with her being interjected into a very important part of the canon, and her significance will always be remembered. Maybe it's all roses, rainbows, friggin' fairy dust, whatever, man. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. And let me tell you, I was already frustrated that Reva, a completely new character, seemingly invented just for the show, seemed to just be a character to show fans what it is like for the Jedi and Sith to, like, rip someone apart, or what a person's perspective could actually be, you know, going back and forth between the Jedi and the Sith. Now, on the one hand, that's actually kind of an interesting story, but on the other, really resounding hand, it doesn't matter, because it's not the place to do something like that in the Kenobi show. The Kenobi show should be about Kenobi. It should be completely solely focused on Kenobi and what happened to him and what happened to Anakin and the trauma between these two men. That's what the show should be. It needs to be boiled down focused on that. And instead, they invent a new character to do all this crazy stuff, to sort of be this allegory for the pain and damage that the Sith and the Jedi can cause. You don't need that kind of a story in the Kenobi show. Kenobi himself is a perfect example of what can happen when you're listening to the Jedi. Anakin is the perfect example of what can happen when you're listening to the Jedi, and then you're pulled in the direction of the dark side, and the two of them together make up a perfect combination of characters to explore these ideas, these themes, and the terror and pain that can be caused by both light side and dark side users at once. The idea, the thought of injecting this new character into this is already cringe. And then at the very end of the show, you're going to have Reva be merciful after figuring out the thing that Vader, the entire Empire, can't figure out. She figures it out. She figures out the greatest secret that the Jedi Order had, and
Maul figured it out too.
Goes there alone. She has a scene with Luke Skywalker. The idea that Luke Skywalker in any way, shape, or form is alive because of Reva, or also because of the incompetence of Obi Wan leaving him undefended there at the Laure's homestead. I hate it. It's super cringe. Like, there's just a lot going on in this that to me is really canon breaking. It's again just another like Lucasfilm thing where they're like, let's inject this new character right into the middle of this epic important
Keep
moment.
injecting it.
Well, you don't like Reva? Well, too bad, because Reva's the only reason that Luke Skywalker is even alive, you know? Oh, Reva, so bold and noble. Freaking Reva is the reason that Luke grows up and actually defeats Vader, you know? So Luke Skywalker, yeah, I mean, I guess he's kind of a hero at Revenge of the Return of the Jedi.
This is so
but no,
stupid.
actually, you know, the real hero was Reva.
Reva.
And I know that I'm super toxic and ranting right now because it really does bother me this much. But as somebody who continues to try to defend Lucasfilm, where I'm like, no, yeah, they're misguided. They do things wrong. They miss often, but they're not like doing an actual agenda to try to push out certain kind of Star Wars or to ruin Star Wars for certain types of fans. Like somebody that has defended them against that type of narrative out there. something like this is like really freaking hard for me to like grapple with. Like, I'm like, what is this? Like, first of all, again, I'm gonna sort of sound like a broken record here, but even the idea of Reva being in the show and being that sort of focal point for that kind of conflict to me is stupid, but it's okay. Then the idea of her being
Terrence,
into this just epically, monumentally important part of Star Wars that you just invented to change the canon and give this character significance is so cringe. Like, I legitimately really, really don't like
How much
it. And
longer
so
does
I'm
this
going to
go
try to
on?
give it a fair shake. I want to try to give the
so
Kenobi show a fair shake. But how many more moments like this can I take as a fan? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen.
So let me tell you about what's wrong with that. What's wrong with that is that guy has been talking for so long. He doesn't seem to know what's going on. And you know what happens? Luke is the real hero. So I don't know why they're doing that, because Luke should be a real hero. Shouldn't be the girl. It shouldn't be Reva. I don't know why they're doing a new character. It's ruining my Star Wars. It's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about my Star Wars. Make sure you don't take it away. It's ruining it for all these people.
Your Terrence impression there was fantastic.
Yeah, he completely like disregards like pages and pages of leaks and the fact that it Obi Wan Kenobi he presents Obi Wan Kenobi as being inadequate and inept and irresponsible, and then that's why Reva is this thing, and then we're all supposed to build up Reva and give Reva accolade. Thank you for not being a child killer, Reva. Thanks for not killing babies. Nobody's doing that. That you just made that up. Obi-Wan could save Leia, he could save Luke, or he could save Luke and he can save Leia. And it's up against the battle with Darth Vader that he can do both. That's one of the reasons I believe he fights Darth Vader at all. Not because wouldn't it be sweet if I just punched him in the robot dick again? Like, that's not the point. The point is that he's getting Leia to safety, and then he has to get back home before Reva gets there. And that's in my reports. Like, this isn't, he's covered all of the stuff, so it shouldn't be like news to him. But he plays onto this thing that like, oh, he's playing back on old things. That Kenobi shouldn't even leave Tatooine. He should just stay right where I thought he was on the first day I heard about the story. And that's just like really crazy and really silly, because I mean, I can't get my head around it. Like I said, I think it's about making little kids freak out, but instead he's making this little kid freak out, being like, what's your problem, man? What are you thinking? I just can't get my head around it from a realistic perspective. So I feel after I watched it for like the third time here, I'm probably an idiot for falling for the grift. Like, I'm probably playing right into what he wants you to do. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna play devil's advocate on that. I think if that were the case, they'd be talking about it right now on that channel, addressing it. They'd be all over it. The only you didn't call them out necessarily, but they're taking it as that, and that's why they're not covering Josh's video every single time. And I don't tune into those guys nearly as much anymore. And I'm going to get into that. I think we talked about it about a month ago or so too. But they always cover each other's content on there. That makes sense. It's a partnership. And like, to be clear, both of those guys know how to work the YouTube system incredibly well. They both make tons of money and are obviously very good at what they do. So kudos to them on that front. But I do think personally, there's a line that you shouldn't cross. And I think being disingenuous to your fans, leading them to believe that something is real that's not, is not right. And mainly the thing that gets me is they don't always do it that way. Those two, they will touch on legit shit. They've touched on Jason's stuff. They've touched on Bespin's stuff without twisting it before. But whenever something serves the need for clicks and money and riling up that specific crowd you were mentioning on your show earlier, Jason, they'll do whatever. And the funny thing is, they interpreted that as, oh, well, Rev is the reason Luke's alive. And I remember I spoke with our other co-host who's not here tonight, Tommy, and I might have spoke with Kieran about it. I can't remember, but I kind of interpreted it as like kind of one of the twists at the end, at least from what I gathered from your reports, was I think you could interpret it as Qui-Gon kind of inadvertently saves Luke by, isn't it not Qui-Gon that lets Obi-Wan know that he needs to get back?
That's one of those things I'm not, but Qui-Gon assists Obi-Wan in his fight against Darth Vader. As he's fighting him, he's in his ear like Mickey from Rocky was what I was told. Do you know what I mean? Stick and move, little Mac, that kind of stuff. And then helps him with the battle. But it's one thing that it did though was it brought a lot of the I'm not saying that they are racist, to be very clear. I'm not throwing that at anybody, but it was like okay with hitting that beehive though too in the last couple of videos or last couple of weeks, and then it brings out those people, and then it just makes everything really ugly, and it gives like I've had to like moderate my channel from that stuff, and that's where it came from. It didn't come from my reports. Nobody even watches my channel. Nobody sees it. So, but everybody who saw it on their channel on YouTube went over and then started saying that stuff on mine. And yeah, it's pretty ugly. I don't know if that's the intention or not, but that is the end result.
There's a lot of channels, a lot of content creators that do that. You know, they don't have to say that they're this or that, but if they're like, hey, you know, this is getting too woke, then you get that you get a ton of people, like just hundreds of thousands of people who are like, they're trying to put characters in there that don't need to be in there and blah blah blah, and it's all these like closet people that, you know, it happens. And I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but man, that's a great way to get a shit ton of is it Geeks and Gamers? I think there's a guy on that one, Geeks and Gamers. I forget what his name is. His name is like D-Day Cobra or something like that. And he does stuff like that all the time, talks about all sorts of fandoms, and he like kind of puts in that like, oh, they're getting too liberal with their stuff, and then people go crazy, and you don't have to say it, but you can kind of say it, and then you get a million people who are like, oh, this guy's down with our message. And yeah,
to be clear, when you talk, not just like in your YouTube description, not just in your YouTube title, what you say while you're on air does affect the algorithm. There's a reason why he's going interject, Reva. They're hot words, such as, since this is already demonetized, if I would have went COVID a couple of times, Google could have got pissed and demonetized the video. It's happened before. You can monitor it that way. I'm not saying I understand the algorithm, or you know, we wouldn't be averaging anywhere from 400 to 4,000 views a video. But you know, that's definitely part of it. And when you're dealing with the numbers those guys have, like one of them's in the millions, I think the other one's in the hundreds of thousands, like you're influencing a lot of people, and in a very disingenuous manner when you're taking information and twisting it. Now I'm sort of caught off guard because I thought that Qui-Gon was the one that had said that to Obi-Wan, and that's why he rushes back to Tatooine. But I'm glad that we cleared that part up, because I wouldn't want to come on here and be like, yeah, you said this. And like the worst part is you get like, I don't even know how many people are over there watching their thing right now. I think they're still on thousands. So if they were talking about it, and they have talked about Jason stuff before, or any other content creators, now those thousands of people are going to storm Jason and or whoever else with the BS that they don't like a certain script that leaked from a certain movie, and we had to deal with the invasion of the no-life trolls here at the channel that just would not stop coming. Those things happen, and that's part of being a content creator nowadays. But it's frustrating because it's very disingenuous, and you know, it's taken away from the hard work that you do and every other content creator too.
Yeah, like I in my articles, I'm like, I work hard to try to get the facts as straight as I can, and it's really difficult to even get the facts, to start getting it into the facts of a topic or of a scene or a sequence or whatever. And yeah, but like when it comes down to it, like that stuff really gets overlooked. Like he makes it sound like Obi-Wan just comes home, doop 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 doop. Oh no, Reva's here. Hey, what are you doing here, Reva? Oh, you gonna kill little Luke Skywalker? Oh, come on. All right, she ain't doing it. She's going home. She's a good kid. She's a good kid, that Reva. And it's like, that's not what happens. He's having to fight Darth Vader to get home. He's like,
we need
I
Luke
gotta
Skywalker
do this.
in South Jersey now.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like not what I reported. I don't think it's how I reported. I'm not the best writer in the world or anything like that, but I think that I was effective enough that you shouldn't walk away thinking that. And so I'm like, it's against the backdrop of the duel of I need to go fight this guy. So Leia goes back to Alderaan. I get back to Tatooine to protect this kid. And the thing about it is, one thing I've also made very abundantly clear over the last 6 months is that when Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine, like him leaving Tatooine is a good thing for Luke in that moment, because this Jedi named Nari has brought the Inquisitors with him to Tatooine. So now you have the people literally who will kill Luke on Tatooine down the street from where he lives. So Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine means that they will then pursue him off-world, away from Luke, which is ultimately for the best for Luke. And so he gets to it's kind of a two birds with one stone kind of scenario where I could go save Leia, I could get Leia home, and then I could get these guys off of Tatooine. But he makes it sound like Obi-Wan's this incompetent idiot that's like, you know what? I think I'm going to take a vacation to die you and just take off here. And, I'm sick of the sands. It's been 10 years. I need a little Obi time. Like, that's just so stupid. Like, it's never anything that has been reported. That is never anything that anybody credible has ever said or even thought, until he came up with the idea that, like, oh man, they're doing all this stuff to make Reva the new hero and interjecting. And it's like, no, they're not interjecting her. That is not like what's going on here. That's called a series with characters.
Where's the breaking of canon that I'm not just seeing either? Like, I'm not seeing this broken canon that he keeps talking about, and I think there's way better examples of canon potentially being broken. Than
I mean, one of the problems is just that in order to take these original 3 movies that we loved, and then the 3 movies that came later, and then try and tell side stories, like, you can't just be like, oh, and they did some kind of interesting stuff. You don't want to see that. They have to tell you like really interesting big stories, and that's going to step on some toes, but like that's the cost of having more Star Wars. The good thing about Star Wars is that it's a whole galaxy you get to play with. So when you have characters like you were saying about Rebels characters, like, it's really easy to be like, these guys were over here doing this and you never knew about it because they were so far away, they were, it's another part of the galaxy. It's other time. There's a lot of things going on. And I just think a lot of people are, leave my Star Wars alone, and those people should just not watch any new Star Wars then. Like,
well said. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, when I first learned this, it's been about a year, I think, almost been a year since I've learned about the ending. And when I got home that day, I was like, all right, I'm gonna put on A New Hope, and I need to watch that scene, because when he gets the lightsaber, I'm like, did they just break it? Did they just say, oh well? I'm like, am I remembering the scene right and everything like that? I go put it on, and all that happens is Obi-Wan takes out a lightsaber. He's like, what's that? But I mean, like I said, it could have been a turkey sandwich. He would have been like, what's that? It could be anything, and you pull it out, and you're like, what are you pulling out? Like, what's that really means? Like, what are you pulling out there? What's that? Yeah. He takes the laser sword, and he just turns it right on. He's not like, he's telling them it's a weapon of a Jedi and all this stuff, but he just turns it on. He doesn't need any instruction. And then Reva's lightsaber, like, this is me like trying to make it work, obviously. But Reva's lightsaber is like a half moon, double bladed, all the, it's a completely like different thing. And he sees this as a kid for a few seconds. And so I think that is where where the contention lies.
Not to mention, like, there's never been young children to compress memories over trauma, right? Like, that's never ever happened ever in history of.
You can remember every object you saw as a child.
Grogu, right?
I mean, it does. In my head, it's right. It's right that it is like, okay, yeah, you've never seen it, but like, that's pretty easy to get over.
It also
like,
looks entirely different.
It's not like that's not like a crazy canon breaking. It's the same thing as the line, I haven't felt his presence since or whatever, and they're like, they couldn't have possibly seen each other in the middle, and it's like, whatever, it's a line from a 50-year-old movie, like it doesn't change the overarching story or whatever. It's not like it's impossible that line can be taken a different way or whatever. But yeah, they have to do that in order to be able to tell these stories. Otherwise, these guys never saw each other in the middle. And it's like, would you rather want to stick to that, that belief that they haven't seen each other from here to here? Do you have to stick to that so hard, or do you want to see them fight again? Which one's cooler? I want to see them fight again because it's the best lightsaber fight of all time. So, like, it's not a far jump. It's just one of those things where, unhappy people just want to be unhappy. That's, some people just really want to be, they enjoy being angry more than they would rather be happy.
I like to have fun. And when I was hearing this stuff about it, I'm like, this sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Darth Vader, it's a big, it's kind of almost a bigger deal to me that Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight again. Like, if you in actuality, because, they were setting up Revenge of the Sith as, this is it, you guys, this is the thing that we've always talked about. Here it is. But now we learn, no, that was just round one. They're doing round two now. But I'm okay with it, because ultimately it's going to be really fun for me and my kids to go watch Obi Wan Kenobi fight Darth Vader in the suit. But it's not an either or. It's not like Darth Vader in the suit or Reva. It's Darth Vader in the suit versus Obi-Wan and the Inquisitors. You know what I mean? It's so weird the way that it's being presented. It's being presented to make people angry and then to capitalize on that emotion. And I find it highly disingenuous. And I'm with you though. I don't think it says is canon breaking is kissing your sister in the previous film.
That's just yeah.
Oh man.
Some people forget all the different changes and random things that they did between movies and like storylines that they played up, and then we're like, no, actually we don't want to do that. Like George Lucas and his changing his mind every 5 minutes about what he's gonna do, and his like a million different ideas for the 7, 8, and 9 that he always says was his original idea. Like, those movies changed, man. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, it's
just
fine.
Have fun.
Yeah, just keep it entertaining. I mean, that's what it ultimately is, right? Entertainment.
My advice would be this: like, if you think you're getting bad information from a content creator, and you confirm that it is bad information, find somewhere else to get your information from. I heard you saying earlier, go to your source. Here at our channel, unless we're covering something that you have or Bespin has, or the odd video game thing that we might get come our way, we don't have too many Star Wars scoops here at the channel. We cover a lot of what you guys do and then give you guys the credit for it. But we are able to cover a lot of Halloween stuff here. And I can't tell you how many times I like to refer to them as frat boys come in, take content that we've covered, take it, twist it, turn it into something else, and then say that it doesn't exist. And because, one channel has hundreds of thousands of subscribers and viewers, and the other channel, is a smaller channel, you get a lot of heat when you go up against the big bad wolf, if you will. So just make sure you're getting your content from a legit place. And honestly, I don't know anyone else more legit than you and Bespin. I did have Star Wars Newsnet up there until a few weeks ago, and that nonsense happened.
It's the thing about every fandom. Every fandom has those, you almost want to call them paragons. They're the people that, when you hear a story, you immediately wonder, no matter where you hear it from, you then start to wonder, okay, let's see what blank has. Like Jared and I are big wrestling guys. You hear random wrestling story A on Twitter, you're like, well, let's see what Meltzer has to say. Let's see what Sean Ross Sapp has to say. Are they talking about this? Are they confirming this? Because something like this, the real players that everybody knows are going to be covering it because it's that important. Even guys like you, where sometimes you'll sit on a story, and you've told us things in the past that you've kind of sat on, that you're sitting on and waiting to make public, and then it's like, okay, when the time is right, we'll know. But there's always sort of that almost rumbling in the force that you know something's afoot, and the big people have something, and you're just waiting for it. And then there's Tom, Dick, and Harry on YouTube or Twitter or wherever who are just taking, like you said, little snapshots and making them into paintings. Like, it just you just got to follow the source train, because everybody has them, everybody knows where to go to find real information. It's not difficult. I mean, Google is a good resource for that. You type in Star Wars rumors, the guys at the top of the search page are the ones you want to be reading.
I think. I don't know about that. I disagree. I don't think
sometimes we got this covered is very up high.
Yeah,
well, there's a difference between the. I'm not talking like the videos. I'm talking the news. Like those are the ones that you'll be able to see the headlines that are real, the ones that are, what I mean? Like you can tell the difference between a clickbait headline and a real headline. Eventually, it has to pass the smell test.
Well, our buddy Ian, who's at the channel with us. The first day I met him, it was like 2014 or 2015. Like The Force Awakens was already deep in production. I was already following Jason's stuff. So no, it would have been 2015, Johnny, because we'd already started Wastelands. And I'm in there, and he's talking to me about. We just started randomly talking Star Wars. I forget how we got on, and he's like, "Did you hear that they're doing this Knights of the Old Republic show and Revan's in it?" And like he's going on for like 10 minutes, and I'm thinking to myself, I have not heard this once from a legit place. So like I randomly pulled out my phone and started looking and couldn't find it anywhere. And then when I did finally find it, it was just from some rinky-dink website that he took as being legit. And I had to be the guy to break his heart, being like, yeah, no, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake. And so I don't think everybody knows where to go, especially when it comes to Star Wars news, because there is a lot of disingenuous content creators out there covering Star Wars. And like with YouTube, the algorithm is so like watered down in terms of Star Wars content. It's every Tom, Dick, and Harry is doing it, big channel, small channel, medium channel, where you can get away. Like we gained our traction on YouTube with Halloween, because there isn't a ton of Halloween content creators. So there wasn't as many options for people to go to. But I do hope people can find the people that are trying to, take them for a ride. It's one of the reasons why I like your show, you and Rob and everybody else on the show. You guys, I could understand how maybe some people might find the show maybe not to be their cup of tea, but it's my cup of tea, and you guys are real. And I feel like 90% of YouTube videos I see these days is just fake, 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 fake.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I started and I was just covering Star Wars, it was like doing okay. And then after like my kind of falling out with Lucasfilm and the kind of butt kissing you have to do to even be able to kiss the ring, I'm like, I'm not doing it. And I started doing my spoil. I was like, I'll just spoil Force Awakens, and I know everything. I'll just talk about it. I'll make my own content. So I started doing that. But every single time, even after Force Awakens, next movie, Rogue One, comes out, I'm right back to square one, where there's new kids who came in from Force Awakens who had no idea what I had done. And then I would get called like, oh, you're illegitimate, whatever. And then they would fall into the grifters. And every single time. Now, there's a little bit of a tiny snowball that happens where a small percentage of those people figure it out after the movie comes out. And if they didn't say too much bad stuff about me, then they're like, oh, you know what? You're my guy now. You know what I mean? I was wrong. You're my guy now. And like, that's how I was able to grow. But every single time, like, it just starts right over. And what's funny was I mostly sat out of Book of Boba. And then there's all these people telling me that everything he says is gonna be wrong because all of the Book of Boba stuff was wrong. But I sat that one out. That was all of their. That was all them. They were the ones who were making up all the cameos constantly, not me.
You were doing the predictions with Santa with Boba. So yeah, no, that's. And there was a lot of crazy rumors for Book of Boba. It was nuts. Jer, how about you, man? When it comes to content creators, I don't know what you watch YouTube wise, but I would like to think that regardless of the topic, Star Wars, wrestling, DC, Marvel, I think to not go against Johnny's point, because I think Johnny's right when you Google something, but when you get on YouTube, if you see this channel and they have, 247,000 views, you probably think the content that's on there is legit over the channel that has 2,000 views. Well, I can tell you that there was a point when we were covering Halloween Kills when we had a video that had like 2,000 or 3,000 views, And the big channel with 6-digit views had no fucking idea what they were talking about, got everything wrong. And the little channel that could had everything right. It's being able to take some of that audience, though, and bring them over into your channel. It's easier said than done because they're going to list at the top for everything that comes out. And they're going to be the easiest thing to click on. It's a shitty part of the content creation game. But Jer, for you, like, do you search for like wrestling, for example? I know you're kind of a data bank yourself, so I don't imagine you need many of them. But like, how do you decipher what's bullshit and what's not?
I think certain content creators use plausible deniability to create narratives that they can therefore, when proved wrong, can then back away from and say, oh, I didn't say it like that, or I didn't mean it like that. And I noticed in that clip you showed, I may have read it wrong, but he seemed very angry that a female was coming in between this Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker story. Boy, was he mad about that. And that struck me as being like, it's almost like this offense to him personally. Like, you're doing this to my Star Wars and ruining this this story that they've been telling for 40 fucking years. And
for some context here, they also don't like Rey, Jyn Erso. I'm guessing they like Leia, but basically any new female Star Wars character they don't like.
Exactly. So it plays into this idea. And here's the thing. He's not alone in that viewpoint. So he's speaking to a select collection of Star Wars fans that he knows are there. But he's presenting it with such a wide brush that, hey, everyone's going to believe these things that I'm saying, even though he's really only speaking to this small subsection of people who are going to be upset by this development, whether or not it's, being taken at face value. And I think a lot of content creators they chase either the clicks or the views or whatever, and they reach a point where they will do anything it takes to get that. They will stretch a story to a certain extent where they're not totally bullshitting you. There's some threads of truth in there, but they can spin enough bullshit around it that will get everybody riled up about it, that then they've created this new narrative that didn't exist beforehand, that all these things are real, or this is what is happening, or this is how you should feel about this. That's kind of how he framed it.
Especially
I'm angry about this. Yeah, exactly. I'm angry about this, and so should you. So it's dumb because it's not presenting the story or an opinion as it should be presented. This is how I feel. This is what I feel they're doing to the story, period. Rather than just going off on all these things like, oh, this is so cringe. I mean, he's obviously speaking to a subsection of society with that. And it's just the lowest common denominator almost that he's trying to get to view his channel, because then, hey, look, I've got 300,000 views on my content, and it doesn't matter that it's 75% bullshit. People are watching me. People are listening to me. I have an opinion that matters because people pay attention to me. And at the end of the day, you're peddling bullshit. You're a snake oil salesman, essentially, with a YouTube channel. I would rather go to content that is reliable, that is, that's vetted, that even if it's not fully vetted, if you can give me an 80% likelihood that, hey, this is what's happening, even with some wrestling news stories, like, okay, they leaked that Rhea Ripley was going to turn heel last night for like 3 weeks. Was I mad about it that it ended up happening? No. I was totally okay with it because it came from Dave Meltzer or SRS, who are reliable sources on these leaks. So, and they didn't try to dance around it being like, oh, it's going to be so dumb when she joins Edge's stable. No, they just report what they've heard. That's it. They don't need to attach an opinion to every single piece of news that comes out. Therefore, creating the narrative. And I think it's just so annoying for fans of certain things to be force-fed these opinions that are latched onto these news cycles that then create this entire subsection that doesn't need to exist.
The interesting thing, or not the interesting thing, but the thing that really pisses me off, and you guys don't have to take my word for it, but like Den of Nerds specifically, the content they produce in terms of the way it's distributed looks fantastic. Anybody who's starting a YouTube channel, look at his graphics, look at the way that they just present it. Not the content, but specifically just the look. And it's good. It's really good. There's a reason they do good on top of just the algorithm shit. But what pisses me off is the dude doesn't even like Star Wars. He's like, it's not just like he's a half Star Wars fan. If you go back and watch his content, this is not a Star Wars fan. This is a Marvel fan who has an in for Star Wars content. Not that you can't be both. You absolutely can. But if you go back and actually watch his content, apologies for the cat. Bloody hell, I thought Max was here for a second. If you watch this guy's content, and I haven't in a while, but like if you have any history with the channel, he's not a Star Wars fan. Make no bones about that. He's not. But right now, he is presenting himself to be. And right now, more new people are going onto YouTube because Star Wars is trending in social media and on YouTube. And it's disingenuous. It'd be like if I went on air and did a Doctor Who thing on, I think they just hired a new actor, and, you know, talked about Doctor Who for 2 hours and acted like I was this super fan who has never seen a fucking episode in his life. I'm not saying he's never seen any of the content. I'm simply saying he is depicting himself as something he's not, and there's a bunch of people out there in a bunch of fandoms, to touch on Jared's point, that don't even give a shit. They're there for one reason only: money and clicks. And if they can just get a little bit of the knowledge from other people that are doing the work, then they lay out the rest for themselves. That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard one. I don't know what the line is between like being a fan, a fake fan, an authentic. Like I don't know how you quantify it. So it's sort of like a hard one to like throw at somebody for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what that is. So it's like, you know, I guess like at the end of the day, if you like it, and I guess the real thing is like, does he like anything? I don't know, but I don't follow him enough or watch his show enough to like know what is, you know, I don't know his heart, but you know, it beats me. But I do know that the news has been taken into a disingenuous place. And if it was sincerely taken there on accident, then I would, by all means, you could come on, hang out with me. We could do it in private. I'll explain it to you if he wants me to. If he needs me to clarify anything or to set it straight, you know, I'll gladly do that. I don't want to pick. He's a big guy. He's a big boy, and I don't think he really needs my assurance. But I don't want to pick on anybody. You know what I mean? For what it's worth.
I mean, we can confirm that from experience. There have been many, you know, spoilers and scoops that we've picked up elsewhere that, you know, we bring to you and say, is real? Is it fake? What's the deal here? And every time you've, you know, come back in a, you know, sometimes it's been sort of that, you know, tip of the nose. I don't know, maybe. Or you'll just outright tell us, yeah, no, that's bullcrap. That's not even remotely close to what actually happens.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, the form of the show is quite often like, yeah, when we do Halloween stuff, we usually know and we have a source for it. But a lot of times when it comes to Star Wars, because we're all fans of Star Wars, it's, hey, this person said this, for this person from this channel said this about this show. What do you guys think about it? And we're not like, oh, that guy's telling the truth or telling a lie. We're like, if that's right, and you know, Darth Maul reappears in this show, then this is how I would feel about it.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, one of the, I don't want to toot our horn, but one of the best things about our channel is that you will get both opinions, because that guy on the far side will be like, oh man, I loved it. And I'll be like, oh, I think that's the dumbest shit ever. And then, you know, the next time it'll be vice versa, because we don't agree on anything. But,
yeah.
It's also nice to blow up when you get something wrong, though. Like I've seen you do it a couple of times on your channel, and like, here's an example of it, because I had someone message me today about it. Last year, and toys can take a while to come out, we reported there was going to be, specifically I reported there was going to be a Tommy Doyle, Lindsay Wallace 2-pack for Halloween Kills through NECA. That has not happened. I don't know why that hasn't happened. We had every indication that it was going to happen. Hasn't happened. We got that one wrong. You need to own it.
NECA's been pretty slow this year with releases and stuff. So
Okay,
I'm
so
not,
maybe it could still happen.
it still could happen.
He's
but,
setting this one up so next we can be like, aha, it came out.
Well, no, I mean,
and
that's,
now I'm back to 100% right all the time.
Definitely
there's
not.
a difference between saying, it hasn't happened yet. It still might. Like I said, if you look at the train NECA's had the last year, they've been very spotty with production and new releases. So, we could be looking at Halloween Kills figures coming out in 2025. It's not that unfathomable, especially for NECA. This isn't Hasbro we're talking about here.
Yeah, no, it happens. Like, we saw things, we knew things that were coming out for Kenobi, and then we saw it, and there were 2 15-second clips, and then all of a sudden we reported on it, and then they decided, we're not going to put the second clip out. and they didn't do it, and then I was like, well, I was wrong. I mean, I what I said wasn't BS, it was based in reality, but it just didn't happen. And yeah, that's why I stopped reporting on Star Wars video games for like myself, because every time I would get something really cool, by the time they would put it out, it'd be a completely different beast. And I was like, I quit. I think
that's one of the difference between good content creators and bad content creators, because everybody's going to get stuff wrong. Sure. It's how you respond to being wrong that sort of determines whether or not, A, I'll come back to you, or B, your legitimacy is, a valid source of information. If you get something wrong and it's like, yeah, wow, was I wrong about that one? They completely changed from what I'd heard to what actually happened. That's fine. It's when you start trying to, I can't be held responsible that they changed these things. It's not my fault that, it's when you try and wrap yourself in a flag of honor that I wasn't wrong. They just changed it. Then that's when you start looking silly. Like,
yeah,
come on now, just, you're human, you're fallible, laugh it off and move on. It's not difficult.
It's like that Principal Skinner meme. No, it's the children who are wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, I support all kinds of content creators. Like, I mean, I accept ownership that my Star Wars themed OnlyFans did not take off.
Hey, I wanted those Jabba feet pics, and you wouldn't do it, so I canceled.
Oh man, we only have 10 or 15 minutes left here, so I'd like to move on to some actual Star Wars stuff. Today was the first day of Ahsoka, and I want to preface this by saying I'm not saying any of what I'm about to ask is happening. I'm just curious how far they're going to be willing to go with this show. I saw you tweet out, and we retweeted it, that it doesn't say limited series, it says original series, which is a big thing in my opinion, because Kenobi, albeit there's a bunch of rumors that they could do more, is listed as a limited series.
If they do more, it's years away.
Yeah, for sure.
But with Kenobi, so it's like,
could be happening.
Might as well be a limited series, either way you cut it. But yeah, I think my take is that is inferring that they have a continuation of the story. And the one question I have based off of that is, what if Ezra, Bridger, and Thrawn are getting the Luke and the Force Awakens treatment? What if the whole series is about finding them and they don't get to them till the end? And then what's next? Season 2. That could very well be the case.
Sort of championed on this channel in the past is that being a very legitimate option for this thing to take. And there's so many more questions in an Ahsoka story where, to the point of doesn't exist for large parts of the canon that we know. Like, the question will always exist. Where was she for the OT? What was going on? They're questions that can be answered in so many ways, where this one we're picking up after that. So you can still carry that on, or you could, go back and do something different with Ahsoka where it does, tell more of her story for where she was in the interim. There's a lot more story to be told there.
They did a great job of having her become a shadowy figure. So, I mean, it could be pretty easy to weave her into the background of something. Because, her being in Rebels when she's, what does she call herself again?
Fulcrum?
Secret code name. Yeah, Fulcrum. Yeah, she's a she's a shadowy figure who comes in and go. It should be pretty easy to maybe weave her into a small thread of the story in the OT, but I think it makes it perfect for them to go on with the series because I think they can do a lot with her. I think it'll be hilarious if they bring in Ezra and Thrawn, because then the second season of Ahsoka will be just like previous Star Wars Disney Plus shows where they're like, is this even the Ahsoka show anymore? What the hell?
You know,
you mean Ahsoka season 2 would be like the Book of Boba Fett being Mandalorian 2.5?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask this, and fair warning, this could result in a huge rant from one of us on the panel. Won't name who. Jason, is there any chance, obviously it's first day of filming, so there's obviously a bunch of stuff under wraps, but is there any chance that with Hayden Christensen involved in Ahsoka, that they could go quite heavy into the Force Ghost stuff? Or is it just going to be, I'm not asking for an answer, but just what's your feel? Not necessarily want, but do they have the balls, honestly, to have Hayden show up at 3-4 times as a Force Ghost and talk to Ahsoka? Or is this just going to be a one-off, flashbacks?
Yeah, my take has always been, because once again, I know that the actual flashback at Kenobi is to Anakin and Obi Wan in a dojo. They're not on a Clone War. Best of my knowledge, they're not on a Clone Wars battlefield, and it's about them actually just literally doing the training together. And so my take has always been Ahsoka gets to augment what that story didn't need. And that story didn't need them on the Clone Wars battlefield. And it would have been cool, but it didn't need any of that stuff. So I have a feeling, because of Ahsoka's, the way that her character is so dependent upon young Anakin or teacher Anakin, Jedi Anakin, I think we may get both. And we never got the atonement of Ahsoka and Anakin after she leaves the Jedi Order and after he turns evil. They fight in that temple in Rebels, and then there's like nothing. So I think this allows to not only inform audiences about why she's important, because you can't really expect everybody. I have family members who are just never going to watch a cartoon. It's just not going to happen. And there's so much important stuff happens. I got a feeling that this series may either inform or retell little bits, just to get people kind of up to speed, to be able to follow along easily. And then, but that atonement at the end with the ghost, I think, is important. Because, you know what I mean? It's good that Luke and Anakin get that. But in a weird way, Ahsoka's almost Anakin's other kid. You know what I mean? Like, that's like her father figure in the Jedi Order, and takes off, and then doesn't see him again. And then he turns into this horrible monster, and they fight. He tries to kill her. And so I feel like there has to be something, or there could be something there to let them have that conversation by the end. So I'm hoping for both Anakins. I'm hoping for flashback Anakin and Force Ghost Anakin, like showing up to her and having the conversation, because that could be really fascinating, but also could be a little bit dopey too. It really depends.
It definitely depends how it comes across. And I know I doubt this will happen. This is fanboy hat going on, but after watching the Disney Gallery on the Book of Boba Fett, it really doesn't feel like they're in a rush to stop Mark Hamill guest appearances on things. I suspect that those are going to probably continue, not into a full series or anything. But I sit here and wonder, does Luke pop up in Ahsoka? And do you get a scene that has Luke, Ahsoka, and Anakin in it? I know it's extremely doubtful, but I feel like half the fan base would lose their mind, and I feel like the guy to the other side of the screen would probably just break the studio behind him in rage.
Would you?
I'm trying not to say anything.
Is your take the, like, use Luke sparingly? Is that like your take on that? Or
no, my
go ahead.
Who is it that we had on last week or the week before?
We had Ty.
Okay. So I tried my best to be good, but it didn't work out, and I got in a big argument with him about how bad an actor Hayden Christensen is. So my take is that Even though I think he'll be manageable in this show because he's going to be directed in a good way, and he's going to be they're going to know.
Is he?
I hope.
I think they're going to know. I think they're going to know that less is more. I hope.
Yeah.
And that he can deliver some good lines, and they can do 100 takes of 5 lines, and pick out the best one.
Oh my god!
But if they have him as a Force ghost in every episode,
that's too much.
I pray for a good Star Wars show. I will. I don't think he's a good actor, and I get in an argument with lots of people, and it just happens lots. I'm happy that he's going to be in the show. I hope he does great, but I think it has to be less is more.
I know what you mean, but I do feel like he is literally as good of an actor as the director that he has. And on the Ahsoka series, Dave, I really don't know what kind of director Dave Filoni is for an actor. We actually don't really know yet. I think he's directing some.
Okay.
And we don't know who all of the directors are, so I really don't know what to expect. You know what I mean? I do. My take is that though, that like he's as good as the director that he has, and George Lucas was just like, I'm not going to direct you.
Does that mean he's had 30 bad directors and 3 good ones?
Well, actually, probably. I mean, when you look at it, he has had a lot of bad directors. To be fair, but yeah. But at the same time, I do think that there was a little bit of that, of a you Canadians. No, I'm kidding. I love you guys. I love you guys.
He lives not far from where we are, and I know I could go down there and egg that goddamn farm, and I don't do it. I haven't done it yet. But,
don't egg his farm. Come on.
No, I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's probably a really nice guy. In fact, he seems like a great guy. He's just a fucking terrible actor.
Let's end the show on this note, and I wanted to ask this question. Might be a little controversial, but I think there's some merit to it, and that is, I'm bummed that there's no Kenobi series or movies in cinema. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad we're getting Star Wars TV. I don't necessarily think it's as long as it should be, but I miss going to see a Star Wars movie in a cinema. That's what I prefer. That's the way I like to take in my Star Wars. I'm unconvinced with the I better watch how I say this. I might start sounding like them. I'm unconvinced that this company has the ability to tell a good story for a movie that has nothing to do with any of the characters that we've seen to date. I'm not convinced that they'll ever.
Why would you be, Sean?
There's no.
I love Lucasfilm. I love Star Wars. I'm with you. Why would you be? Based off of what would make you say that? Because outside of Rogue One, kind of does it, but kind of. Yeah. So I think that's fair, dude. I mean, I'm with you, but I also think that like the Waldron Feige film, I think there's a lot going for it potentially, just based off of the talent involved. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Taika Waititi, I think he could probably deliver something funny, at least. But will it work as a Star Wars film? I hope so. I don't know, but right now, like everything has been derivative. Except for and I don't know why they did they put Grogu and Book of Boba? Why did they put them back together there? They should have put them back together in a movie.
Yeah.
That would have been a huge original movie if that was the film. Like, it's crazy to me. It's crazy times, guys.
They still have a movie that they are advertising as coming out next year that has no chance of coming out next year. So
I don't see how it comes out. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think it can.
I really like Rogue One. I know this is a little bit of an offshoot of what we're talking about, but I just think it suffers from not having a great central character, because a lot of the characters in it are great. I love almost every character, and I don't think that is it Felicity Jones?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she did a bad job, but I think they didn't do a very good job of making her the central character and giving her a compelling arc. So I understand that, but like beyond that, I love almost all the other characters in that movie, and I quite like that movie. So I just think they need to focus on making a good story that doesn't necessarily have to be a Star Wars story, and then, you know, kind of make it into a Star Wars story. Like, not just be like, oh, we have to include all these Star Warsy things. Like, we need to make sure that they go to a sandy planet, and then we got to make sure that they have a lightsaber battle somewhere, and they gotta, you know, we got to fit all this stuff in. Like, just like write a good story. And a lot of the books that are great are like this. Write a good story, and then have it take place in Star Wars. It doesn't have, you don't have to hit all these bullet points. Like,
yeah,
focus on having a good story. So,
I more so mean like not just like Skywalkers, but like the Empire, the Imperials, the White Stormtrooper armor. Can they put together a movie that doesn't feature any of that? Can they put together a movie that takes place 500 years before or 100 years later? I am unconvinced they will ever be able to do that. And this isn't, you know, Marvel, not to, you know, beat that horse, but like, or even DC, where there's 10,000 Batmans and there's 10,000 Iron Mans. And I'm pretty convinced they're not going to go back and remake Star Wars movies. But I'm also pretty convinced that what's going to be the end result of this is they're just going to go back and keep adding stories of characters that we know, regardless of who plays those characters 10 or 20 years from now, and just keep adding to the mythology that we know until there's a successful Star Wars movie or show that doesn't take place in that era. And I guess the closest thing to it would be the Acolyte that's going to come out.
Well, as long as we
first big branch off,
as long as we eventually get Plo Koon the movie, then I'll be fine with it.
It does seem like they have to be brave enough to not treat Star Wars as a genre itself, and to go like this Taika movies slash comedy slash gladiator film, which is what it sounds like it might be. And they have to like really go like, we're doing this genre and we're not going to go film the whole thing and then get scared and go, it's not Star Wars enough, let's make it Star Wars, and then refilm half the thing and make it into what we're used to. Like, until they will do that, I don't think they can break out. I think they're stuck in the mold. And I understand like why that happened with Rogue One. I think that was a critical point in their history where they really still needed consumer confidence. And now they have the people they're going to have. They don't have the people they're not going to have. So now it's the time to start to go, F it all. Let's just make good movies. And that's what I'm hoping for. That's why I'm not really super plussed about the Rogue Squadron concept. I don't know if that's going to be a good movie. I love Top Gun. Top Gun's fun. I'm going to see Top Gun 2 in a couple of days. I'll see it. Why not? But I don't know if a Rogue Squadron movie ends up being like anything that I need. You know, and I want to feel like I need it. Like, oh man, I didn't know I needed that. Now I need it. But from what we know about like that project so far, there's just nothing to make me go like, oh, you got me. I'm totally in.
It's not about spaceships.
I'm kind of the opposite on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of the opposite. Like, that's what I want them to do is like, you know, if they made it and it was truly like a Top Gun type movie where, you know, you go through the flight academy, you meet new characters, they have to. And it doesn't have to involve, I don't know what time period it's from. I don't remember. And I know that it's
supposed to be after episode 9.
Okay. Then it could be a completely new enemy or a completely new Death Star they have to blow up or whatever. It doesn't matter. But like, I don't mean another Death Star, but there's got to be something. There's got to be some sort of thing for that. They gotta blow up something. But just making it a classic type war movie and not having Jedi in it and whatever, and making it a good film that just takes place in the Star Wars universe, I think would be great.
We need our Star Wars horror film. Come on, guys. Where am I? What show am I on?
It could be like those. Have you ever played the game where you're on Endor and the Ewoks like hunt you down and kill you in the dark?
The unfortunately named Ewok Hunt. Excuse me, is Ewok Hunt playable today? Yeah.
Oh,
what am I thinking? Yeah, it's really called that.
I played it and I played the game and it's like you never until you actually
played with Ewok Hunt. Yeah,
until you hear somebody say it like that, it just it went over my head right until that moment where you were saying it. It's like, wait, what? Hold on a minute. That's not. Oh man.
You earlier in the show, you said you had a foursome online and without blinking. You didn't even you passed right by that like you said nothing wrong.
Just because you have a dirty mind doesn't mean it's a dirty thing to say. You can have a foursome in golf and it's perfectly acceptable.
Well, yeah. What do you think kept Luke busy for those 6 movies?
I do like the idea of a Star Wars horror movie, and you can do it without a bunch of blood, guts, and gore. You build it on suspense. Even though Knights of the Old Republic 2 as a game is a mess because it's buggy as shit and it didn't live up to the first one, I still love aspects of it because to me it's the only Star Wars that is really visually given us horror. Like you literally wake up to the Ebon Hawk blown to bits. You're in space. It's on fire. And I believe you're heading at the sun. I could be wrong or something like that. And then your whole first 4 hours of the movie is on this abandoned mining station where everybody's been killed. And you hardly see anybody but droids. And I'm not saying that would make a good movie. I'm simply saying you could make a good Star Wars movie horror movie built on suspense and still keep it PG-13.
Yeah.
There's some High Republic stuff that is kind of horror-y in a way.
Eventually, I will have to give it a try. Just no time at the moment.
I can lend you 20 books. I think I have I think I have 15 of them.
Oh man. Anyway, that is going to do it for our show tonight.
I got this one. It's a little bit more your pace. You can start with that one.
See, I could get an audiobook. I could put it in one ear and work at the same time. So work and play.
It has big pictures, so Sean's happy. Does it pop up?
Pop up. I'm sold. Oh man. Jason, thanks for joining us tonight, man, and talking about the content creator game and some of the
inside baseball
shit going on.
Some of the interjections.
Reva. She dies. It's not like they're trying to all of a sudden Reva is in the Mandalorian and come on.
Yeah. It's
which they could have done. They could have aged up Moses Ingram and boom, there she is. She just didn't go back and tell or whatever, but they didn't do that. Anyways, man, what do you got going on coming up in the rest of this week?
Just every day we do the Making Star Wars show at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you ever want to come on, hang out. Everyone's invited. Come hang out, and we'll talk about Star Wars. So,
yeah. I'll give it a listen. I don't really listen to Star Wars podcasts anymore, so I'll give it a listen. I haven't been really into. I think I listened to Rebel Force Radio a lot. It was well, you know what? It was leading into The Force Awakens. I was listening to that a ton, and ever since then, I haven't really had a Star Wars show.
Yeah, well,
it's all fantasy football, so I could beat those fucking pricks down there.
I believe in you, man. I believe in you.
Yeah, it's not happening.
We have
actually,
a collective 5 championships between the two of us. This
is the guy who won last year, and that's the guy who won the 2 previous years. So it's not working out. So I'll give Star Wars a shot again.
Honestly, the content is awesome. They usually talk news for the first 10 or 15 minutes of the show, and then not that they don't touch on it the rest of the show, but they're kind of like us. I would not call their show PG. I don't believe it's PG anyways, but it's entertaining and it keeps me sane.
Thanks, man.
Is there more Stallone impressions? Because
there's all sorts of impressions.
Oh, there you go.
My co-host, man, he's great. That guy can do George Lucas perfect. It's amazing.
His Santa impression every time kills me. I'll be driving the bus and just crack up. Oh my god. Where can everybody find you on social media and stuff, dude?
I'm Making Star Wars everywhere on everything. Easy.
Awesome. Jared, where can everybody find you at, man? What do you got going on?
All right. I run a wrestling content Google Drive with 5 terabytes of content that is regularly updated daily. It's massive and insane, and it's $10 a month, and it is worth every single penny. Do pennies exist anymore? They don't exist, but it's worth it anyways. And I run a Facebook page adjacent to that with all sorts of news, content. I posted a video of Becky Lynch posting a video from the heel turn from Rhea Ripley last night that was actually really funny. I won't spoil anything. Go check the video out there. And you can find me on Twitter at Jamie Virtue. And you can find me on Dark Match Drive on Facebook. And I
feel like we might have to have Terrence react to the Den of Nerds video. That might be fun. Kieran, what's going on with you, man?
I'm super busy this week, but I'll make it through, and I'll keep watching podcasts. That's why I love podcasts, is because I'm always running. I did a 10K run this morning before work, and I popped on a baseball podcast and a football podcast, and you can still do shit. You can still have a life and go do all this crazy stuff. Just plug in the headphones. So that's why I'll get my Making Star Wars in tomorrow.
Nice. And good job, dude.
Thanks. Yeah.
Highly recommend. Johnny, where can everybody find you, man? What do you got going on?
You can find me here, there, and everywhere.
Having foursomes?
It's true. I found him under my bed last night. It was terrifying.
Ewok hunt?
No, he runs.
All right, that's going to do it for us, everybody. Have a good night. No show tomorrow night. There will be pre-produced video air at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, so check that out. It's just Ian and I doing a breakdown of the Kenobi trailer, shot by shot. So be on the lookout for that. Big thanks to Jason and Terrence for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.